The destruction of art. Art has been with us since before we had agriculture, and so has the destruction of art. Art being ruined is a huge part of the history of art. There are many ways in which art is destroyed. Most art destruction is accidental, because of fires, people tripping and knocking things over, or simply mistaking it for garbage. These are not the cases we will be looking at. The destruction I am talking about is purposeful. I am speaking, of course, of vandalism. Now, when talking about vandalism, it is only natural to talk about the Vandals themselves. The Vandals were a Germanic tribe who were most famous for their sack of Rome in 455 AD. This was probably the origin of their name being attached to destruction. But recently, historians have started to question whether they deserve this attribution. The historian, Torsten Cumberland Jacobson, quite a name, among others, has observed that this identification of wanton destruction with the Vandals is unfortunate. Jacobson writes, despite the negative connotation with their name now carries, the Vandals conducted themselves much better during the sack of Rome than did many other invading barbarians. Well, I guess they didn't do too much murdering, and they hardly burned down any buildings at all. They were probably just misunderstood. Vandalism against art is common enough for some works to be repeat victims. Rembrandt's Night Watch has been attacked on 3 separate occasions, twice with knives and once with sulfuric acid. Although, I suspect there may have been more than one kind of acid involved in that incident. Other times, the act of vandalism has had a more personal touch. You would be amazed how many works of art have been damaged by lipstick marks. Well, okay, it isn't that many, but any at all is kind of a lot when you think about it. In one incident, a woman kissed the all-white canvas of C.Y. Twombly's Untitled Triptych. Quite a name. Paintings are not the only victims. Statues have it just as hard. At Cleveland Museum, the Little Mermaid of Copenhagen Harbor was also blown off its rock base in 2003. Resulting in holes blown in the mermaid's wrist and knee. This was after it had been decapitated twice. One of the most shocking acts of vandalism was the attack on the Pietà in St. Peter's Basilica at the Vatican. A man named Laszlo Toth, wielding a hammer, climbed up on the altar and struck the marble statue of Madonna holding Jesus 12 times, damaging the arm, the nose, and other parts. Toth claimed later to be Michelangelo and or Jesus. Superstition is another reason that people vandalize art. For example, in Cappadocia, the murals of the cave churches of Gorum had their eyes gouged out because the locals were worried about the evil eye, a curse put upon someone by a foul gaze. During the Renaissance, there were many huge building projects in Rome. Bringing in stone from outside the city would have been necessary, but also very expensive. So people had the idea to use stone from classical statues, and buildings, especially the Colosseum, as building supplies. Many a bust ended up sealed inside a wall, and they called it the Enlightenment. Art can express challenging ideas. This can make a lot of people very angry. And in a lot of these cases, the people made angry are institutions, such as government and churches, with the power to destroy that art. When this is the case, this simple act of vandalism gets upgraded to iconoclasm. Congratulations. Iconoclasm is the destruction of icons or images for political or religious reasons. Iconoclasm has a long and, well, no, just long history. According to Egyptologists, in Egypt, iconoclasm was the most terrible religious crime. This did not stop Pharaoh Akhenaten, who ordered all names and images of gods other than Aten to be destroyed in order to make Aten the one true god. This also did not stop the people of Egypt destroying all reference to him and all new art he had commissioned once he died. Public decency is one reason for the ruining of art. Popes have gone on public decency campaigns against the many nude statues of Rome. These campaigns consisted of either hammers and chisels, metal fig leaves, or both. Pope Paul IV, Pope Innocent X, and Pope Pius IV, and more, all did this. Probably the biggest reason for iconoclasm in history is a religious rule. In some religions, particularly monotheistic Abrahamic religions, there is a rule called aniconism, which is not allowing for spiritual or even living beings to be portrayed in art. This has been the driving force behind many bouts of iconoclasm throughout history. During the Protestant Reformation, there was a lot of outcry about Christian iconography and a return to aniconism. This caused riots of iconoclasm in many cities for a vast number of years. During the French Revolution, a great number of religious works and monuments were destroyed by the revolutionaries in an attempt to eradicate the memory of the old regime. The Nazis, hoping to eradicate Jewish culture, started an iconoclastic campaign to try and round up and destroy all art and literature that was created by Jewish people, showed them in a positive light, or was in any other way undermining of the Nazi ideology. They labeled this art as degenerate and burned or otherwise destroyed it. This may seem like the problem of the past, but iconoclasm continues today. Very recently, ISIS has been destroying as much art and culture as they have the explosive power to. The reasons stated for this are about aniconism, but this does not explain why videos were put on YouTube. This fact leads many to feel that it was for the purpose of propaganda. Vandalism comes in many forms, but whether it is a kiss or chisel, I think we can all be against it. Thank you.